A journey through the most scandalous, shocking, and influential events in NBA history. Not just the events, but the context, the lasting impact on the league, and the lessons that changed the NBA forever. This is a story of darkness and light, of how a league grew through crisis. The NBA is a great success story, from a little-known league to a multi-billion-dollar global cultural giant. But the road has not been smooth. It was paved with scandals that tested the league's moral foundations, shook the faith of fans, and forced leaders to confront its most uncomfortable corners. This isn't a sensational list. It's an analytical examination of the scandals that shaped the NBA. We'll explore them era by era, understand what happened, why it was so shocking, and, most importantly, how the NBA changed in response. From fixed games to shootings, these are the scars and lessons that have shaped the modern league. The NBA of the 70s and 80s was still young, struggling to gain attention and respect. The scandals of this era involved the integrity of the game itself. What happened? Jack Molinas, a forward for the Fort Wayne Pistons, was banned for life for betting on his own games. More importantly, it revealed a wider gambling network involving several players, including All-Star Connie Simmons. The players were accused of shaving points, not losing games, but intentionally manipulating the score to win bets. Why was it shocking? It struck at the very heart of sportsmanship, the belief that players were trying their best. It raised the question, was the game real? It threatened to collapse the entire league before it was even established. Implications and lessons. Commissioner Maurice Podoloff came down hard on the lifetime ban. The NBA established a strict anti-gambling policy, a precedent that still stands today. It showed the league would not tolerate behavior that threatened the integrity of the game. What happened? Not a single event, but a silent epidemic. Cocaine permeated the league. Stories of all-night parties, players sleeping on the bench, and ruined careers became commonplace. It reached a peak with the tragic death of 1986 pick Len Bias from a cocaine overdose, just 2 days after being drafted by the Celtics, and the suicide of 1986 All-Star Michael Ray Richardson after multiple drug policy violations. Why was it shocking? It revealed a terrifying dark side of an athlete's life, the temptation, the emptiness, and the destruction. The death of Bias, a talent compared to Jordan, was a culture shock. As a result, the NBA, under the newly installed David Stern, 1984, had to act. In 1986, the league implemented a 3-phase doping policy, counseling, Phase 1, a paid suspension, Phase 2, and a minimum 2-year suspension, Phase 3. This was a drastic move to clean up the league and protect its image. It marked the beginning of the Stern cleanup era. The NBA of the 90s and early 2000s was booming globally. But even during the boom times, scandals still emerged, often surrounding the biggest stars. What happened? At the height of his power, Jordan abruptly retired to play baseball. Rumors spread it was actually a secret suspension from the NBA for his gambling, especially after he appeared in court for a gambler with ties to organized crime. Books and journalistic investigations later documented Jordan's massive gambling debts. Why was it shocking? The man who was the face of the NBA, his heiress, had a dark gambling habit. It threatened to tarnish the impeccable image the league and its sponsors had built around him. It raised questions about star power and what the league was willing to hide. The aftermath was officially denied by the NBA and Jordan. No suspension was ever granted. Lesson: the power of crisis management and brand protection. Silence and time have made the story fade. But it left a permanent question mark and is the source of one of sport's biggest conspiracy theories. What happened? The worst brawl in American sports history. During a game between the Pacers and Pistons, a beer mug was thrown from the stands and hit Ron Artest. Artis stormed into the stands, followed by his teammates, leading to a chaotic fight between players and spectators. Why was it shocking? It blurred the sacred line between the court and the stands. This was no longer basketball, it was social unrest broadcast live. The images of players, role models, beating up spectators severely damaged the league's image. The NBA, David Stern, responded with unprecedented severity. 9 players were suspended for a total of 146 games, with Artis banned for the rest of the season, 86 games. The lesson: the NBA will protect its event environment at all costs. This led to stricter security policies, alcohol restrictions, and rules of conduct for spectators. This is a clear statement: safety and order are non-negotiable. The 21st century NBA is a more complex, transparent business under the scrutiny of the media and social media. Scandals have become more sophisticated. What happened? NBA referee Tim Donnery was convicted of fixing games for bettors by manipulating foul calls, not to change winners, but to influence point spreads. He also revealed inside information about player health and referee-player relationships. Why is it shocking? It directly attacks the integrity of the game at its highest level, the people who run it. It confirms every fan's worst fear, that the game can be rigged. It undermines trust in every foul call. Donnery went to jail as a result. The NBA launched an independent investigation, the Pedowitz Report, and implemented sweeping reforms, tighter referee oversight, an improved review system, restrictions on referee sports gambling, and increased transparency. It was the biggest shock since the 1950s and led to a modern system of institutional surveillance. What happened? A lengthy ESPN investigation revealed a toxic work environment that spanned decades under owner Robert Sarver, with allegations of racism, sexism, and sexual harassment. Why is it shocking? In the age of #MeToo and social justice, one of the NBA's billionaire owners is accused of decades-old practices. It shows how a toxic culture can exist even in the front office of an NBA team. As a result of the NBA's investigation, Sarver was fined $10 million and suspended for a year. Massive public pressure from LeBron James, Chris Paul, and many others forced Sarver to sell the team. Key takeaway: in the modern NBA, stars, fans, and business partners have a say. Social values, fairness, respect now carry real weight, potentially forcing even a powerful owner to leave. This is a generational shift in power and accountability. The scandal cycle: every major scandal follows a pattern: shock, investigation, punishment, reform. The NBA, especially under David Stern and Adam Silver, has learned to react quickly and aggressively to protect its product. The evolution of the rules, from drug policy to owner conduct rules, from referee oversight to stadium security, most of the NBA's strictest rules were written in the blood of scandals. Transparency as a value: the modern NBA is forced to be more transparent, though not perfect, than the cover-up of the 90s. The power of media and social media has changed the game. A difficult balance: the league still struggles with old issues in new forms, its relationship with legalized sports gambling, star power, and the enforcement of values. Final thoughts: these scandals are dark chapters in the annals of the NBA, but they are not the whole story. They are severe tests. And by overcoming them, sometimes clumsily, sometimes slowly, the NBA has been forced to grow up, become stronger, more accountable, and more resilient. Each scandal is a crack in the statue, and the league's response is the mortar that fixes it, hopefully this time more firmly than the last. The journey from darkness to light is never a straight line, but it defines any great organization.